We are live with Ready Row USA. Thanks for joining us. If you're joining us on the live stream, we welcome you and we ask you if you have any questions for our guest, Neil Bergenroth. You can put them in your chat function. And we wanted to let you know that we are also on audio podcasts. So any audio podcast app that you have, I think basically we cover them all. So that is on our website. This is our new website, readyrowusa.com. And at the purpose of the podcast is to connect and collaborate with the rowing community. So we believe that collaboration is the new competition and that rowing changes lives. And that's kind of how we operate here. Our audience gets personal attention to questions, comments, and episode suggestions. So there's cards and letters coming in. And our sponsors and partners receive value that far exceeds their investment. So you will pay a little and get a lot. We love rowing. We love talking about rowing. We love advocating for inclusion and diversity in the sport and hanging out with rowers like Neil Bergenroth. Hi, Neil.
How are you, Charlotte?
Good. I've been waiting so long to have you back on. I know we had you on the podcast at the 2019 U.S. Rowing Convention.
Yep.
And you were remote. Well. You were remote then, but my friend Tara Morgan of Steady State Network, I think she referred you to us. And said, You've got to talk to this guy because he's doing really cool stuff with technology and rowing. So, and teaching, learning, whatever. Let me just run through a couple of things. We'd love it if you subscribe on our social media channels. So you can find all the links to that at readyrowusa.com. And our Twitter is readyrowusa. And we have Instagram as well. It's actually a little more complicated. It's ready.row.usa. I don't know why I couldn't get the regular, without the dots. But anyway, I think you can find it. So Neil, I have to confess that my children exceeded my math knowledge when they were in 5th grade. But I wish I'd had someone like you to teach physics, math, technology. We didn't have too much computers then, but and science. It would have been great. Tell me a little bit about how you got interested in doing this and how you started developing your app that you're working on now.
Well, again, thanks for the invite and the chance to talk a little bit about this. Mm-hmm. The reason I started this was because I think the issue at the forefront of education these days is how do we make the learning experiences that we're offering or the students in our classes or the students, the student athletes that we coach, something of value, something that they can relate to, something that is applicable in a real world scenario. And so it was 3 or 4 years ago when we had completed a strategic plan at Tulsa Youth Rowing Association, and we shared that around, and it was a good plan, but we shared it with a few people, and the feedback we got was that it was really mostly about us rather than what we could do in the community. And we've been doing a lot of work here at Holland Hall. I'm a science teacher here at Holland Hall, and have been, for the last 20 odd years. And we've been doing a lot of work on diversity and inclusion. And I just kind of put 2 and 2 together. And, I sort of retired from competitive coaching in 2016. I was the head coach of Tulsa Youth Rowing Association for about 16 years now there. And, really wanted to bring several things together, and that is accessibility to the sport, but also my passion for science and for providing something that was a little bit out of the box, a little bit different, and so Grow Tulsa was born. and that is our outreach program.
I'm sorry, that's the OK Rowing. Is that the website for that?
Yeah, so our website is okrowing.org. It's Tulsa Youth Rowing Association. Yeah. We have a competitive team, we have a recreational team, we also have various outreach initiatives, which now includes ErgEd grant and also this rowing STEM program that we feature. And so we're partnered with other organizations in town, such as the Opportunity Project. And that's probably my biggest piece of advice for people is if you're getting into this accessibility and inclusivity and diversity piece, find somebody in your city who knows more about this and connecting, with underserved youth than you do. So, we have partnered with various people. We networked for about a year and then started a pilot program at a school called Nathan Hale Junior High, where I went in and we took 6 machines into the school, and we developed relationships with those kids, and
now
it was
we have
always
some slides. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah.
And we have some slides. So if you're on audio, these will be linked in the show notes. But if you're watching us, just tell me what you want me to show, Neil.
Yeah, so what we've got on the left of your screen is one of those kits that we send into schools. We have iPads that have been donated to our program by Tulsa Public Schools. Also in these kits are things like heart rate monitors. There's goniometers, which is like a protractor for measuring joint angles in the body. There's batteries, the things you would expect to find when you keeping concept 2s in good order. And on the right side of the screen, we have, the setup. And this is at a school called Will Rogers High School here in Tulsa.
And that's with those iPads.
Right.
Pad on the left. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So we went for about a year, and I started to kind of develop the curriculum, which I think is linked to in the show notes. There's a link to the Google Drive, which gives all of the different labs that we've been doing. And our attitude is that this is open source. So if another club wants to take the work we've done and modify it, make it better, adjust it, we just ask that they keep the attribution at the bottom. But all of these files are open source. And so I
just wanted to mention that my friend Stephen O'Connor at Fulham Reach Boat Club, is it Boat Club? Anyway, in the UK was commenting on that, and also another person in the Netherlands is interested because it was open source. So
yeah. This is all in the spirit of giving, and so. After I finished that first year, I started to dig into the programming aspect of things. I've done a lot of programming over the years, but particularly, since I stopped, serving as a head coach, I started getting into other things that gave me a little bit more flexibility to work on this stuff. And I saw the potential in that PM5 on a concept 2. And when you look at the documentation of all of the information that it captures, and it sort of derives a lot of values from the rowing on the machine. I thought, hey, here is an opportunity for kids to create their own data and take that to their math class or science class or these after-school programs. And so I developed Rowing STEM, which is on iOS, and it's a free app. And
we have a little video of that, a clip, or
I think you do. I think.
Should I just roll it? And
yeah, if you want to roll that, we can take a look at it.
Yeah, it won't have the audio, but yeah.
That's okay. So this is our app. It's got all of the curriculum in it, which you can look at on an iPad. So you can imagine the kids on the machines looking at these things. This is accuracy and precision, which is a big topic in science. Accuracy is how close are you to the actual measurement. Precision is how clustered are they, the measurements together. So, there's a darts game on the concept too. So it's a great tie-in, a fun game. The force curve was something that really pulled me into creating this app because I couldn't find how to get those points off the machine. And the force curve is a great example of applied science in rowing, something that as coaches we care about, something as science teachers we care about, because the shape of the curve, the area under the curve is impulse. And so, I basically developed this app that has all the curriculum in it. It essentially, captures data and things like that.
So the Concept 2 goes through the iPad into the app.
Right. So you can pair this up. I think if you play, I think the video stopped, but I think if the video continues, you'll see
just tell me when it's up.
So what it's going to do here is this is us pairing it with the machine here. So we're scanning for the turn on the wireless on the PM5, and it's going to basically find that there's the ID. We click that, and now we get this screen right here, which is very sort of physics based. And then I'm going to start to row on the machine, and you'll see the force curve being created, so that you can see it a little bit better than on the PM5. And so what this is doing is capturing about 17 different data points. So it's not just these things that you see on here. It's also things like the peak force, the average force. It captures all of those force points in that. And again, they're not supposed to be absolute values. They're sort of relative, which is how Concept 2 developed it. So again, these are derived values. You have to be careful about what you say is actually being measured. Yep. But I still think it's very valid here, and a great way to sort of explain. This is how you row well. And if you row well and you get the feeling right, then the graph tends to be very smooth and parabola-esque. I know there's lots of conversations about what a first coach should look like. I'm not going to get into that today, but I think it's a great example of how to teach impulse and have a kid really involved in different things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can go to the next slide, or if you have another question about that.
I don't know at the moment. So you started implementing this. Or is this just, you're talking about the development phase, or is this actually from applying it in how long ago was that?
The app came out 2 years ago. Okay. So it's kind of it took about 6 months to develop. In this video, now that we've captured all of that data, the kids have the ability to use this screen to. It's a scatter plot. So there's 17 different variables and things like that. So you can change the X and the Y, and then you can plot different things. So that is time versus power. So if you're talking about consistency, that is time versus heart rate. So if the kids are wearing a heart rate monitor, now you can get into the exercise physiology with them. And so I just wanted to create kind of a sandbox for teachers to use this, coaches to use this, and use it in a way that would enable kids, number one, to understand science and math and data analysis, but also perhaps learn how to row a little bit better. And
I was wondering if it goes both ways, like does it improve the rowing? I can see how it might, like when you're looking at the Concept 2 monitor and you see your force curve is going like up at the end or something, you have to do something different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's cool.
And so it's always one of those things. And that video towards the end, you'll see that you can export all of that data out of the app in an Excel format, like a CSV format, sort of towards the end of the video.
Right.
And you can save the image. You can save the image on the device. Now I'm exporting it. And this is the CSV, the comma separated values file. This is all the data that app has collected. And I just want to create something to expose all that data, because, other apps don't necessarily do that. And it just depends on the type of app. So,
and then you could take a screenshot and post it so your teacher can see that you've been doing your homework.
Yeah, exactly. And rowing.
And rowing, your coach and your teacher. Yeah, that's so cool. That's really amazing. Let me see if I can get it back to.
So this is if this gets kids really fired up about pulling hard, and it also has the added value of teaching them some STEM. So this is a little game inside of the app where if you play it, the kids can get on the machines, and it takes the current watts for the stroke, and it gives them a picture of the electrical device that they're currently creating enough power during their stroke to go.
If you got like the Switch, that's really popular.
Yeah.
That Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I bet they would really turn on to that. But you said that they like the blender one, right?
Well, the blender is the top one, right? So wow. I didn't want to set it to be something ridiculous like 2,000 watts. I don't know if anybody can do that. I got 300 watts. You get 300 watts. You get the blender, and some blenders do use 300 watts, and the kids just go crazy for it because it's in there. And obviously, you surround this. It's not just the game. You surround this with the idea of what is the what, energy per second, those kinds of things. But it's very so. And I think on the next video, we've actually got the kids doing this. This was a group of kids. I think it's on the next slide. This is a group of kids at the Tulsa Dream Center.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we probably won't turn the sound on that.
Yeah,
but this is part of our outreach efforts, and here they are on the ergs, and they are going to go absolutely crazy to try and get the blender on this. So we've given them.
They got that concept that they were powering a blender. That's amazing.
Yeah. And you can do things like I had at this school. We were having a back to school night, and I sat a kid down on the machine, and they hadn't quite gotten to speed, which is distance versus time. And so what we did was we did a little bit of slow rowing, and we captured that data, and then we kept going a little bit faster, and then we went even faster than that. So we did a minute of each different pace, from like slow to medium to fast. And then we pulled up. You can see it actually. The next slide is really good for that. You can see that.
Flip it through. Yeah,
there we go.
What can you power now? One click.
Now one more click. There you go. So time distance graphs. So you can see here that on the right hand side we've got this it runs on an iPhone or it runs on an iPad. So you can run it on phones. A little bit better on an iPad because the screen's bigger. But you can see that the slope of that line is the speed. And so, I think when we're teaching something, kids can draw a graph because they can plot different things, but can they explain like what the graph means? We're looking for a deeper meaning than that. And this kid, by the end of the time we worked together, understood that when the line was steeper, he was going faster, and he could equate slope into something. The picture in the middle is an activity where you see there are letters. This is a time distance graph, and there are letters on it, and each letter corresponds to something the coxswain is saying. So there's a whole packet full of like A, B, C, and the coxswain is saying things like, oh, look, there's another boat going by on the other direction. And if you look at E on that, I think it's E on that graph, you can see where the two lines cross. That would be on this time distance graph, one going in one direction on the race course, one going in the other direction on the race course. And you could get kids to say, okay, what would that point on the graph be if the coxswain were saying that?
Yeah, so that's amazing. That is just great. It's like relates it to their actual rowing experience or
exactly.
That's
the picture on the right is I got invited down to work with the students of Hockaday School down in Dallas, Texas, who are again. Yeah, it's one on the left, and we did time distance graphs. I did two freshman classes, two ninth grade freshman classes, and I also taught a AP Physics C class. So we went force curve with the advanced kids and time distance graph with the ninth graders. So and they're going to do this. I think today is the day they go and do their community service outreach project, where they're going to go and bring machines into a school in the Dallas suburbs and implement this kind of curriculum. So that's exciting.
And so when you went down there in these, I guess it's a girls' class, right?
Right.
Yeah. Did you get like the aha moment? I mean, that must be so cool when the kids, like, when you actually demonstrated, teach it, and then they started discovering.
Yeah, they had a great time. Because what happened after what you see on the left is we went back up to the classroom. I had them in pairs, and one student was tracking the time and the distance, and they got 4 or 5 different data points, and then we went up to the classroom and we plotted that on a pair of graphs. and we talked about filling the whole page and putting units on the graph and titling the graph and having a discussion about, well, what does it mean when the line did this? And they could bring those things together. So when you're talking about, kinematics and things like that, it was really powerful, and it was so great to go down there and have the opportunity to implement this in the school.
I can imagine. And so if you're offering this to a teacher or a school, like, are they worried about how much onboarding they'll need or startup time?
I think one of the things we're doing is in these after-school programs in Tulsa Public Schools is I spend about 2 or 3 hours working with somebody on the curriculum, and there is a bit of a learning curve on it, because there are several moving parts to it. So it does take time and working with the teachers, every month, going to visit these different programs, kind of monitoring. And I was exchanging text with one of the faculty sponsors over at Will Rogers, and we were talking. He was asking me, well, what kind of plots would make sense? And I said, well, you've got time distance, or you could have like stroke length versus power to talk about accuracy and precision. I mean, you can really, to present the data and look at the data in multiple different ways. So it's ongoing. It does take a little bit of time, but I think. And
do you provide support for the schools, like if they adopt it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We do provide support for those schools. I'm always ready to take a question from anybody who's interested in implementing the curriculum. As I said at the beginning, our attitude is that this is a spirit of giving. This is something that potentially could hook kids into the sport in a different way. And so we want to make it available to people. And that's why the app is free. It will always be free. That's why the curriculum has been built. And I don't think we're anywhere near close to where we could go with this curriculum. So it would be exciting if people, if we're watching this, who wanted to get involved in the effort and write some curriculum, we could expand it and grow it as a community. And I think that's, like you said, that's the new competition, is working together. So
exactly,
exciting.
Awesome. Well, we have a few more slides and a few more minutes, but do you want me to? Is there any? What is the alternative school? What did you do there?
So the alternative school is in Union Public Schools, which is another district here in Tulsa.
Okay.
And I got talking with somebody who was affiliated with them. I rolled a machine in, I set the iPad up, and the principal was like, I want this in my school, because the alternative school is for kids who need a different pathway through education. And he saw this as an opportunity. That was something that would be fun, something that would be applicable, that they could get into. So there's about 150 kids over at that school. So they did a smaller rollout last spring, about 40 kids, and now we're expanding it. And I'm actually going to the rowing tank at the University of Tulsa on November 16th with some of these kids, so they can take the next step in terms of what's a rowing tank. We could talk about some of this stuff, because these are potential, pathways to getting the kids actually on the water.
Well, I think when people, I know I'm this way when I learn things, I need to see it applied, just looking at it in a textbook. That's one aspect of learning. But to me, I'm just a real practical, hands-on person. I didn't study, a book to learn podcasting. I just did it.
Right.
I just, warts and all, But anyway, we have another little working with schools and rowing clubs. The next one is a video as well, right?
Okay, what's the next video here
on this one? It is. Yeah, this one.
So that's a video that you hear the kids talking about their experiences. So it's a couple of minutes. I don't know if we have time for it, but
it might. Let's see. Can you hear it through the?
I can hear it. Yeah.
Even though that it's hard work, you can still have fun and make jokes and be who you are, but also you're learning how to do something incredible. And I think.
Oh my God, how rewarding is that? That's incredible.
I mean, it was incredible.
Great.
So
yeah, I think let's see, what can you power? Rowing stem. What can you power? I think we have some of them as clips we could show, but I'll put them definitely in the show notes. And they're on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, they're on the Tulsa Youth Rowing Association YouTube channel, so you can check them out.
I mean, highly recommended. These are just so moving. Yeah. And then these are the different things they learn. Yeah, cool. And we're watching. Is this the alternative school again, or?
Yeah, that's over at Carver. Actually, that's
Okay.
another school we were working with a year or two ago. This is ErgMath. It's another app I've developed.
Oh my God! Do you have any spare time?
Yeah, I balance things all right. I mean, again, it's one of those things where when you're passionate about it, it's not.
I know.
It's work, but it's not really work. It's something that. When you want to get behind something and get it done, I think anybody in the rowing world, rowing is hard work, but we love it and we keep coming back for more and we love it. And that's the fuel that keeps us going.
Someone was describing it as second level fun rowing because not this stuff, what you're doing is a little indifferent, but like it's torture when you're doing it and then you're so glad you did it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's another one. I
think we've got one or two more slides. Sort of where are we going with this project? I think is a pretty good way to finish up here.
Finish up. Is this the? Oh, this is the. Okay.
That's the same video. Oh, that's ErgMath. ErgMath is a game where you again sync it with the Concept 2.
Right.
And you can choose what math operations you want to play, and then it gives you a math problem, and you have.
Oh my God, that's raising my blood pressure as I think about it.
Well, the great thing about ErgMath is you can do a 2K and math problems. I mean, it's a complete winner. So
can I just do simple addition?
Yeah, they're simple addition, but it's just the only way you can move the character is if you move the handle.
Okay.
So if you've got kids who like to sit on the couch and play video games, now you can get them on the erg.
I've got to try that. Yeah.
Get them to exercise. So this is our final slide.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I think if you're watching, you can see the potential of this. Would love to get, a website together that's, devoted to rowing STEM, discussion forums, those kinds of things, really build a community around this. We're looking into ways to fund our growth in outreach, and all of this right now is on the Concept 2 machine, who, by the way, have been wonderful with their level of technical support. I was
wondering if you
I have to give them credit for that. They have been, even on the weekends when I'm like, I can't figure out what this code is doing, they'll write back and they'll say. So they have been so supportive of this STEM effort in terms of a technical sense.
That's great. I just wanted to add that I've started this thing on Ready Row USA called the Customer Service Hall of Fame. And they're one of the inaugural members because every time I contact them, I'm just like a little old lady that does rowing. They don't have to pay attention to me if they don't want to, but they are so gracious. And, it doesn't matter. They have millions of users. I don't know, like hundreds of thousands probably. So I really love that company. And anything else you wanted to add about the future plans?
Well, I mean, I think there's potential for many different directions here. Exercise physiology. I thought of this thinking of, okay, the kids go out in the boats, but maybe they collect water samples and they do some ecology or pH or there's environmental science and lots of different directions you can go. There's the physics. There's those NK oarlocks you can put on the boats. You know, there's accelerometers, there's apps on your phone that you can, you know, look at the acceleration of the boat, like anything that engages the kids. There's just so much data in rowing that we can capture. And so, you know, this on the water is one of those things that hopefully over the next year or two, we can start to get into and just continue to grow this effort as a community. So,
well, it's really amazing what you've been doing. And I'm so glad we got a chance to catch up again. And just, you know, anytime you want to come on and give a little update, I'd love to have you. Are you looking for people to like help with the website, or of course funding might be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, funding, people who are passionate about, you know, rowing and STEM and want to help this effort, want to see it grow. You know, as I said, the app is available. It's free. This is open source. It will always be open source. It's designed to be built on. It's designed to be improved, and that's, you know, just the iterative design of, you know, how things grow. I mean, they just get better, and you work out the things that are working, those that aren't, and I think that's a great lesson for kids to have as well as educators. So
yeah, well, if I had a chance to go back to school, as when my kids were applying to college, I said, can I just sign up? I'm ready to learn. Anyway, thank you so much for being on. You're the best. I just believe in what you're doing so much, and I would like to support it in any way, you know, that we can, getting the word out or connecting you with people. And I hope this helps.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. So grateful for that. We're all at Tulsa Youth Rowing Association very grateful that you've given us a chance to talk about what we're doing.
Anytime. Thank you so much. I'd like to close out with a few plugs. My company is Pierce Press. I'm going to mute you. My company is Pierce Press. I produce Ready Row USA, Face the Book TV, and Puragaji podcasts, among other things like book publishing. But getting back to the Ready Row USA podcast, we really want to cover your club or your rowing activity. We'd like to have you just let us know what you'd like us to get the word out about. So like Neil's science, technology, engineering, and math. What else are you doing at your club? There's a form in the show notes. It'll be linked in the show notes, and we'd love to have you just send it in and get our attention. The other thing that we do is periodically do a gadgets and gear special. If you have any kind of rowing gear, from boats to I don't know, some little attachment that helps you with your rowing, let us know what that is that helps you. And again, you'll find all the information at readyrowusa.com, all the links, this podcast with Neil Bergenroth, and all the links that you need to get more information. Thank you so much. Once again, Neil, I'm going to unmute you and just say goodbye. You're the best.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Appreciate you.
Bye.